Good evening, fellas and ladies. So welcome back. This is another live broadcast of the Talking Business Show. I just want to basically check to make sure that you guys could hear me, see me, and all is well with audio and video. So I would just go through some quick items just to test the audio and video, and if everything is good, then we'll proceed with the show. So quick programming notes. So this is the last live broadcast for the week. In fact, it might be the last live broadcast for the month, because I will be in New York next month, and then I forget where I will be the following week. I'm sorry, not next month. Next week I'll be in New York. And then the following week, I'm not really sure where I will be. I totally forget right now. And then the following week after that, which is the last week in February, I will be in Las Vegas. So I will have much time to do the live broadcast this month. So this will be the last one. So we're going to make it really good. So DMAC, thank you very much. You could see and hear me. So that is awesome. All right. So with that said, we're going to get cracking along here with the show. All right, guys. So today we're going to be covering how to get started as a fashion and editorial photographer. So as you guys know or don't know, if you're new to the channel or if you're new to the channel, what we basically do here is we have 2 live broadcasts every week. We try to have 2 broadcasts every week. One of those live broadcasts, is the Monday Critique, which we had last night. And on that show, we basically tried to critique 2 images submitted by you, the subscribers. And, we review those images, myself and a guest. Review those images and we provide our feedback. It's a great way for you guys to basically get or fine tune your images. So if you don't know about that show, go and watch it. It's already recorded, was recorded live. Go and check it out. And then we do this show, which is the Talking Business Show, where we sit down with a business owner and figure out how to, pick their brains on, what they do, how they do it, and give us a little bit of a feedback on what they do. So I changed up the format a little bit for this show, which in the sense that before, when I started that, I sat down and I did like a complete interview process, which was great. But I changed it up so that now it could be a little bit more structured and you guys could get a lot more information from it. So I hope the previous shows, including this show, will help you guys out with specific content that you're looking for, or in any one of these areas. So that being said, another thing that we do here on the channel is we put out BTS videos covering, and for you don't know what BTS means, it stands for behind the scenes. So we put out behind the scenes videos covering lighting, posing, composition, and post-production. So you'll be able to see those videos as well on this channel. So that's it. I don't cover gear too much on this channel, so don't look forward to gear reviews. I talk about anything that I have. I talk about that, but that's about it. So we will get into this show. So once again, yes, we are talking about how to get started as a fashion editorial photographer, and we have a very, very special guest. His name is Ben Scott. Ben, I know Ben out of North Carolina. He was out of North Carolina. He bounced around. Now he's in Connecticut. So he's a portrait photographer and a retoucher. So he does some amazing retouching work. So we'll get into that, and you guys will be able to see all of that. He got his master's in art and design here out of North Carolina, NC State, I believe it was, with thesis on fashion photography and video. So I think probably the first thing I'll ask him, if is it worth it to go to college to basically get your degree in fashion. So that being said, here I'm going to bring on Ben. And guys, if you have any questions during this process, please drop those questions in the chat, in the live chat chat box with your questions in front of whatever your question is, the word question, or a question mark in front of your question, so I'll know that it's a question. All right. So with that said, let me bring Ben on. Hey Ben, what is
Hey,
up?
how are we doing?
How's the cold weather treating you up there in Connecticut?
It's so cold up here. I keep moving more north. Probably next time we chat, I'll be like in Canada or somewhere in the Arctic Circle. I don't know.
Yeah, seem to be moving away from the warm weather.
I know. So I went from North Carolina to Washington, D.C., and now I'm up in Connecticut. So
So tell us a little bit about yourself besides the information that I provided at the top of the show.
yeah, so I'm like you said, I like to consider myself a portrait photographer and retoucher. The main clients that I work with are usually models that are signed with agencies to help improve their portfolios. That's kind of where I'm at right now. It's part of my plan to improve upon that, but that's kind of like I have a step process that I'm going through right now that we'll talk about a little bit of my plan, my business plan. But right now, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm doing that, and I'm really been picking up a lot of retouching. I've been focusing on my retouching now that I've moved to kind of a smaller demo right now. So I don't really have the client base that I did have prior. So I'm kind of expanding my reach to work on more retouching, which I can do at any time. So
Yeah, it's pretty good that you could make those adjustments in your business. I think is key to have all those skill sets so you can make that sea change, if you would. So as far as college is concerned, do you think for I guess photographers in this day and age, do you think it pays to go to college for those folks that's trying to learn photography or even get into like fashion photography?
um, so I'm kind of an interesting case. I taught myself photography while getting my master's in art and design. So I was taking a lot of design classes, design theory courses, and half of the department that I was in was studying fashion. So I kind of was learning fashion at the same time as teaching myself photography while also learning design principles. So I think it's good to have the base of the design background. It wasn't really a photography school, but at the same time, I feel like I'm going to be paying off my student loans for the rest of my life. So I think if I could have taken the money that I spent on college, because I was basically teaching myself, and there's a lot of great resources online. If I could do it over, I'm not sure if I would go and get my master's or not. It wasn't my plan to be a photographer when I went to get my master's. I was actually going to do interactive design and just became obsessed with photography. So I was spending all my time studying photography. Any project that I worked on, I would somehow twist it to be photography related, and taught myself lighting while I was working on my master's. So I I really don't think it's worth the amount of money that colleges charge for you to learn when you can take, there's really great resources online these days that are a fraction of the cost. And I could have spent that money, even though I'm not like a gear guy, I don't have to buy the newest camera. I've been shooting with some of the same equipment for years now. I could have invested that money in gear too, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think there's a lot of resources out there now for people to learn. I think the best thing that you could probably get out of college these days is the business side of things. Learning learning the business basically. Figuring out how to balance your books. Make sure that how you could learn marketing and all that good stuff. I think that would be valuable things that you could get. Not only could you apply it to your photography business, but you could also apply it to any other business that you're trying to do if photography is not the thing that you could actually apply it to.
I did make some great connections through the university. One of the connections was a guy named Gordon Monroe who lives in North Carolina now. He's retired, but he was Irving Penn's former assistant. So I got to meet him and interview him and talk to him, and he let me shoot in his studio. So that was like an invaluable experience there. So there were, it's definitely some great opportunities, great contacts. On the head of my thesis was Justin LeBlanc, who was on Project Runway. He was a finalist on Project Runway. So I've been working with him for years, shooting his collection. So I definitely probably wouldn't have ended up in the fashion realm if I didn't go to school.
Well, that's one thing that you definitely get from school as well. Access to that great, network of your, not colleagues, but your classmates and those, in whatever college you in, you get access to that particular network.
Exactly.
So I think that's a great thing. So that said, I'm gonna jump in, and DMAC, no, I wouldn't kill you, but is just not relevant to the conversation right now. All right, but no, I would not. All right, so let's switch gears here and go into the presentation. So guys, if you have any questions while we're going through this presentation, please be sure to drop those questions with the word question in front of it, or either the word question, or you can put a question mark in front of your question so I know it's a question. And one side note that I forgot to mention, Ben was actually on this channel before. I totally forgot this when I was doing the Monday critique takeover. So you guys are gonna have to go back some multiple videos to go and see that video from ways back. I totally forgot about that.
I think I did two of them.
Did you do two?
I did two. Yeah, because I think I got better. The first one was or maybe I just filmed it so many times it felt like I did it twice to try to get myself right.
So yeah, you guys got to go check that out. I totally forgot about that. That's when I was in Dubai. I totally forgot about that one. All right, so let's switch gears here. So I'm gonna switch this to so that you guys could actually see the presentation, and there we go. So, Ben, you could take it from here.
All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about, it's kind of my game plan right now is to become, a fashion editorial commercial photographer. And this is kind of where I'm at in the process of getting these larger commercial jobs. So we're going to go down. So basically, I know I need to build a great portfolio to land these commercial jobs. And I've kind of started out by doing agency tests, which are a great way to have, good talent in front of you. And also it's a way to earn a little bit of money while doing it. If you're looking to make money right away, I wouldn't recommend this route. Weddings or other types of photography pay much better than doing like model tests, but the end result, the landing the commercial jobs, is where I want to be. I've shot one wedding in my life, and one is enough. So it's just not my niche. Okay. So
it takes a special skill for working with people. It has nothing to do with photography, basically.
Exactly. It's not in my skill set. My skill set is working with a small team and keeping it small, everyone on the same page, and wanting to be there. I think the hardest part for me was trying to get some of the groomsmen to want to be away from the bar and get their picture taken. So that was like the brother of the bride missed out on a couple of pictures because he was out drinking, and somehow that was my fault. So all right. So first thing I'm going to talk about is how do you work with models from an agency? I get asked this question quite a bit, so I feel like this is something I should start with. Basically, you put your portfolio together and you reach out to them, I usually do it through email. Say, I've been moving around a lot lately, so everywhere I move, I reach out to the agencies. I send my portfolio and say, I'm in the area. Here's, I'd like to start shooting with models for your agency. You can give your rates for the test shoots, and just start that network with the agencies and see what happens. Usually, in my experience, the first time you reach out to them, they'll say, we need you to prove that you are who you say you are. They'll want you to do 1 or 2 free tests with a model or 2 to show that you can do it. You do that, you provide the images, and they're happy. Then they'll hopefully start sending you additional models to update their portfolios, because models need to keep their portfolios up to date all the time. So they're constantly looking to shoot and need good images. So, anyone have any questions about that?
Not so far, but the only question I have is, at what point do they start to pay you?
Hopefully, after your first or second shoot with the agency. So
Okay.
So after from my experience, they'll say, here's, give us 1 or 2 free to prove who you are, and then hopefully then they'll start sending you more work after that.
Okay.
So, all right. So my approach to this is, you have to think who your client is. You're shooting for the agency and you're shooting for the model, so you need to do what's in their best interest as well as yours too. So after I reach out to an agency, sometimes they'll say, hey, here's a list of models that we have. Who would you like to shoot with? Or this person needs to update their portfolio and you need to shoot with them. You look at their portfolio and you come up with a mood board of style of images that you want to shoot, and you share that with the agency. And the whole time you're working through the agency, not contacting with the model. So the agency is kind of directing. They tell the model where your studio is, give you their contact, and you're always working with the agency. So you give a mood board and tell them, these are the style of images. The agency can either approve it or, say, no, we don't think that's what they need, and come back, and you keep the dialogue open, and you can say, like, this is the type of wardrobe they should bring, whatever it is, what your look is, your idea is, and tell them this is what you want to shoot, and then they'll bring that to the shoot. A lot of the good agencies I work with, the models will bring tons of clothes. They'll all be hung up. They'll have, boxes of shoes. Everything's nice and organized and not wrinkled, and goes pretty smoothly.
So your first point of contact with the model is when they show up, or
A lot of times it can be you're talking through the agency, and they're contacting through the model. And there can be times, some agencies, they're hiring these girls. They can be fairly young, so it's their models are showing up with either their mom or dad, because they're 16 or 17 years old sometimes.
So I guess I think one of the issues or challenges that I run through, and I think a lot of other photographers run through that don't work with an agency, is reliability of models showing up. So I'm guessing your percentage of models showing up, if you're working directly with the agency, is it higher than typical what other photographers
Yes.
will go through?
Yes, because I don't always work with models through the agency, or like there'll be times where a model will reach out to me directly, or someone who wants to be with an agency will reach out to me. That percentage of showing up is a lot less. When it's working through the agency, sure, things come up where someone gets sick or, something happens, and then usually the agency will just send someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So the percent chance of the shoot being completely canceled is pretty slim. But yeah, the communication is much better. If some of the agencies, if they're late, they get in trouble. Like if they're late more than a couple times, the agency, some of them will even drop them. Like the model will, if they're running late, if they're stuck in traffic or something, they're contacting you ahead of time. They're letting you know, and they're usually not more than like 10, 15 minutes late. So
man, love the professionalism.
It's amazing. My schedule isn't super flexible, so that's another great thing about working with agency models is that you get it. You can have a set time. Everything works really smoothly.
Awesome.
So, yeah. All right. So, keeping up with trends. This is this was something that this was one of the points that I kind of failed at the beginning of this process. I was working with a couple friends who were with agencies in North Carolina, and then other people would see my images, other models would see my images, and they'd reach out to me. And so I started growing my business. And then my wife got promoted, and we had to move to DC. So I got there and actually we built a studio in the basement of our house because there was an unfinished portion, and I had the contractors were finishing up on this. I can't remember what day, but I had a shoot booked with an agency the next day, so like they had to be finished, and I needed to find a team, and I didn't know anyone there at the time. So the makeup artist that I used, I had a mood board with the agency. They sent me a test. I was trying to get in with this agency. Let me start over. I was trying to get in with an agency. I had a shoot scheduled, and I had a mood board, which they approved. And I reached out to a makeup artist, finally found a makeup artist. The makeup artist then talked me out of the look that I had, said that, and that wasn't this image right here either. But the makeup artist talked me out of the look that I had on the mood board. She said, I think you should do this. And in my head, I'm like, well, you're the makeup artist. I should trust you more than me. And like, I don't know as much about makeup as you do. So, okay, let's do it. Well, the agency got the images and said, we can't use these images because of the makeup. They said the makeup was too harsh. It was too much eyeliner. And I'm like, okay, so, I was in charge of the shoot. I took responsibility for it, and I apologized. And the agency said, reach out to us in 3 to 6 months, and we'll go from there. Well, it took me a little while, getting rejected sometimes is hard, but I sucked it up, contacted them again. And this model here, Claire, was from the shoot my shoot trying to prove myself the second time, and everything went great, and they loved the images. And I learned, I told them I took responsibility, and I focused more on looking at exactly what they need, what the models need, what the trends are, researching what, the main modeling agencies, what they have in their portfolios, and just trying to stay on trend. So that was a good lesson to learn. And, you really have to run the shoot, and you're in charge of everything. So if someone talks you out of something, don't just agree with them. If you had a vision in mind, stick with your vision. Don't make a mistake like I did and just say, okay, I trust you. You have to really control the shoot.
Yeah, then I think well, I don't work with agencies that much. I think I only work with an agency once, and I think I guess I would have to change the way that I work, because typically I trust Well, I have a vision initially. I provide that vision to the makeup artist, the hairstylist, or if there's a wardrobe stylist, whatnot, and to the model. Provide like a mood board to them and basically say, hey, this is ultimately what I'm trying to go for, but I want you to bring your own twist and to it.
Right.
So I would suppose if and usually sometimes the twist could be a little bit different than the original vision. So I guess for me, I guess lesson from your story there is basically working with any agency. You can't alter the original proposal or vision board to the agency drastically because
Right.
potentially.
Drastically is the key word, because I still am. I don't micromanage makeup artists. I started working with different ones. I got with ones that kind of knew the style that the agencies like too.
Mhm.
So we got to be more on the same page. And I definitely would give them, some flexibility and let them add their element to it. But it was never a drastic change from what we originally talked about. That was the shocker, was the drastic portion.
Okay, they,
So,
they, they took it in a completely different direction.
yeah, yeah. So,
All right.
all right. Um, so this is just an example again of kind of that style. Trying to keep with. I do a lot of black and whites, a lot of blazers and white button ups. You really want to look. They're models that are going to be modeling for high end designers is their ultimate goal. So you want them to look expensive. Make them look make them look great. So that's the goal.
Now I think you had mentioned that they show up with their own wardrobe, or you supply the wardrobe for them.
Um, I don't supply the wardrobe. There's times I work with stylists that do bring wardrobe, but not always. It depends, like if we're trying to do something that's pretty out there, a lot of times they need, basic things, then they provide it. Sometimes if I'm working with a stylist, the stylist will provide it, but a good stylist is not always the easiest thing to find too.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I know that. That's what I was asking. And when I look at your work, I notice, like the wardrobes that they be getting, or your models be getting, it looks so put together. It looked like a stylist actually worked with them to put it together. So I'm actually very impressed that they actually pick up these things.
yeah,
So that's pretty good.
yeah. Like Maria here, she brought these clothes, but we had, we kind of chatted ahead of time and showed what looks we were going for, and she brought these together. And then a lot of times, they bring different things, and then you're trying to, if the stylist isn't on board, I usually try to have the makeup artist help me with styling a little bit too, because they usually know a little bit more about it than I do. But I know, there's certain things I know that I want and that I know will look good, and then we can try other things as well. So,
Agreed.
let's see. All right. So, kind of what you need to submit to an agency. They're going to want to see that you can produce images that kind of match what the models that they have currently in their portfolios. So you need to look at the modeling agencies, look at the images, and do your images match what they have? If they do, then you can reach out to them and say, hey, I would like to work with a couple of your models, and see what they say. If you don't feel like you quite have that look yet, I would, and this is something you're interested in, um, shoot as much as you can to make it look like what the agencies like. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have agency models, but style people to have that look. Um, but the models are always looking to improve. Um, they need to shoot, they need to add to their books. Social media is important. They need to have pictures for social media to keep getting themselves promoted. I think the agencies want the models. Last I heard was 10,000 followers on Instagram. It might be higher now, but there's clients that won't hire models if they don't have enough followers, because they're trying to get that reach as well with their products. So
It's interesting that you say that, because I'm trying to book a modeling agency to be on the show. Still haven't worked out all the details yet, but I'm trying to get the modeling agency to come on, the head of the modeling agency to come on in March. And I was just exploring their website, and one of the things I noticed that they highlight not only the models that's part of their agency, obviously they highlight that on their website, but one of the things that I found interesting, that to your point, I go there, I'm hovering over their pictures, and I'm just seeing social media follow accounts, and I'm
right.
like, why am I seeing this? And the reason I'm seeing this, all the ones that are ones that had the most followers, or all the ones that was bubbling up to the top.
hmm
And it's interesting that you said that these models want to increase their followers. I think maybe that's why, because they probably want to, be in good standing with these agencies so they could get booked.
Exactly, because the clients, the advertisers that are using these models, they want to have those models, post their image as well, and that's just extra advertising for them that they know will reach a certain number of people. So it's very important for them.
Yeah.
So,
So before you go on, I got like two
yeah,
questions that popped
that's
in
fine.
here from the live viewers here. So DMAC is asking, how do you determine what the agency is looking for?
How do you determine what they're looking for? Well, do research. Look at their website and look and see what their images look like. And do you feel they're that quality? I usually look. What I do is I always am looking at some of the larger agencies in New York, or basically the New York agencies right now, basically because where I'm located. And if you can shoot something that almost that looks kind of like that style, the smaller agencies are going to want that too. New York's kind of like the baseline right now. Even in LA, they're looking at New York some too. LA can be a little bit different because you can have some lifestyle, sunny,
Yeah.
outside shots too. But I've been shooting a lot of studio, just because of right now, because of temperature. But just kind of do your research, look at what's in the major fashion magazines. Not I'm not talking about just like the online magazines, but look at Vogue, look at W magazine. Look at some of the bigger names. Look at those images and try and get a style like those as well. So
Yeah. Another thing I would say is check their IG. Probably give you a more up to date
exactly.
live feed of what's going on.
hmm
So it's GMB as accent. Ben, do you provide the MUA and hair and stylist, or do these agencies provide everything for you for the shoot?
I provide the makeup artist. I always find the team for the shoot. So um, usually how I work it out is I tell I make the model pay the makeup artist. I don't pay the makeup artist myself. the model. I'll say this is the rate for the makeup artist. This is the rate for me, so that the makeup artist is paid directly from the model.
Okay, so there you go. It's GMB.
And also, if a stylist is wanted or whatever, the rate for the stylist, then they can pay for the stylist as well.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I learned my lesson there. I was trying to provide like a package rate to someone, and it just turned into a disaster because I was trying to provide, say, hey, okay, you know what? You want to shoot with me? I'll give you the makeup artist. I'll give you the hairstylist. I'll give you the
Hmm.
stylist. Here's, the package rate. So I had like my go-to people that I wanted to go to, and I had like an average of what they generally charge.
Hmm.
And it turned out that the date that the person wanted to do the shoot, none of those people were available. So then I had to go and reach out to some people that I never worked with before, and their rates were beyond the average. So
Right.
I ended up actually had to take some money out of what I was getting to go and pay, for those.
Right.
So
That's
yeah, that was a
that's
disaster.
something I'm always kind of torn about. Is just doing a package like you were saying as well. But that's an example of why I haven't done it. But I do insist that there's a makeup artist there, so it's kind of non-negotiable. It's like, and the makeup artist is extra, but that's part of the shoot. You have to pay because they'll either say, "Oh, I'm a makeup artist." A lot of times it's like, "Oh, I'm a makeup artist too," or whatever. To me, I like having someone else on set,
Yeah, that
so
makes sense.
it's just how it is.
I see another question pop in here, but I'm going to hold that question
Okay.
because it's not pertaining to this section right now. But I'll come back to it, Corey. Don't worry.
All
But
right. See, here we go. Here's just another example of kind of the style that I shoot that the agencies like. All right. So that's kind of what we've been talking about: understanding the industry, know your clients, researching the industry, just always following up on trends. But at the same time, you want to come up with your own vision, your own. Even though you're shooting things that are kind of similar, you want to have your own style too, so you stand out. You're not just copying someone else's images. So you want people to look at your images and say, or at least think that they would recognize that's like
your
these
style.
are my style. Yeah, you don't want them to think, oh, that's I've seen this image before. So all right. So one of the things with what I was talking about with my plan. Okay, so my plan is keep shooting um, images that are fashion images, working with putting a book together so that I can grow and get commercial fashion jobs. So with doing this, talent is very important. So I do. I think I have it on the next slide. The collaboration is okay for me. So a lot of there's some models that I work with that we always get great images together. They're great for my book. They're great for their book. Everyone is gets something out of it. But I won't collaborate. I don't shoot for free if I know it's not going to help me. If it's someone new that wants to be a model, they're going to have to pay to shoot. So um, there's a big difference between, for me, it's pretty obvious on a lot of times it's people I've worked with before. I know we're going to get something, or it's a look that I don't have in my book too. Like male models, I don't have a whole lot of male models in my portfolio. Finding a good, strong male model isn't always as easy. There's a lot more female models. So if I can, I'll shoot a male model for free, probably, like most of the time, just because they're so rare. If they're, really good. So, um, any
Yes,
questions on that?
that's interesting. I know the fact that a lot of people will be talking about, well, not a lot of people. Some questions do come in about on my channel about, oh, why don't you shoot male models, or can you do a video on male models or posing males and stuff like that? I mean, it's easier said than done, because sometimes it's kind of hard to find those folks. I think I only
Yeah.
work with a handful of males.
Like, I'm gonna
In
go back to the previous, like this model here, Alex. He was great. It was so easy to do the shoot. Really, like it was just like just hanging out, and just But finding, like you said, finding a male model is not that easy.
Yeah,
So,
especially
um,
good ones. Especially good ones.
right, exactly. So, but like I said, like I'm trying to build my portfolio to have a certain look, and collaboration. If it's okay when everybody on the team is getting something out of it. It's not okay if you're not getting something out of it. Don't do it. You know, it's that simple. And I have I've never paid money to update someone's book. Like uh, I'm not paying a model so that I can update her book. Like, so just that whole idea, I don't really understand. Where there'll be someone who's new, they're a model, and they're like, send you a message saying, "Here's my rates," and you're like, "All right, good luck with that. go go talk to someone else because
You
here's
know,
my,
I
you
I,
know,
I laugh, but I can't knock those models, those
no,
traveling models, right? That basically go out there and you know charge a rate for their work, for
right.
their time.
That's
But it's I think that would be more like for I don't know. It's I won't knock it. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. I'm not
But
knocking it.
I
It's
won't
just
pay for it. Just
it's just
like
not
you.
part of my business plan. Like my
Yeah.
business model doesn't have a spot for me to lose money to work to take pictures for someone else. That's just not part of
Yeah, I agree.
my business model personally.
Yeah.
Um, so if I was selling these, like if I was selling prints, or if I was selling images, and you needed to pay talent for something else like that, like if it was something commercial
Yep.
I was shooting, if I'm getting paid on it, then everyone should be getting paid.
Agreed.
But at the same time, I'm not paying someone. And then another thing I'm really the concerned about is those same models. Do they have like those what is it, patron sites?
Yeah, yeah.
Are they then selling my images later? Like, so am I paying them and then they're selling those images and I can't see it? So it's just that's the whole industry kind of.
Yeah, that's a new thing that I've been seeing. Like,
Exactly.
but it's more like fine art nude
Exactly.
images that they put in like in Patreon and say, hey, if you want to go see the full thing, pay for Patreon and then you get access to it. That's like a new thing I see now.
Yeah, but before that, the whole thing was like, are they going to try and sell prints, or like hold on, you can't sell prints of something I own the rights to.
Yeah,
So
I don't know what happens behind that paywall.
exactly. So that's just kind of my business plan as part of the business strategy is um, either making money or not losing money. So those are kind of, I'm not going to lose money on a shoot. So if someone reaches out to me, I just say sorry. I'm still always nice, and you have to keep up. You have to always be nice to everyone, or else the industry is way too small. I tell people that all the time. Is your name will get out there quickly if you're an ass. So be nice to everyone, and I can give some examples of. we'll, we'll
Yeah,
skip that.
yeah, we have some examples, but we'll skip that.
All right. So one other thing about working with the agencies is the editing. So how you edit an image is important. The style of the image has to fit. It has to be high end looking. You have to be able to see skin texture. Has to look natural. It can't look like the skin can't look like what is it? Raw
Plastic.
chicken?
I was gonna be gentle. I was gonna say plastic, but
No,
that's a good one.
plastic is bad too. Do not do not blur the images, but it has to look natural and not like plastic or anything. Um, so that's what I was on that. Does anyone have any questions on?
Not on this section, but I think its GM is basically asking. I have never worked with an agency before. Have you discussed a simple approach yet to these agencies, or do we just let the portfolio speak for itself with a link?
What was that again?
I
Sorry, I
have I
was.
have never worked with an agency
Uh-huh.
before. Have you discussed a simple approach yet to these agencies, or do you just let the portfolio speak for itself with a
Um,
link?
Pretty much let the portfolio speak for itself with a link. You know, you introduce yourself, talk a little bit with the link to your work, and say you'd be interested in working with their models. But you have to. You're trying to. They're a client, so you're trying to do what you can to get their business. So
Yeah, so basically, if I think you were here at the beginning, it's GM. So basically, the first thing I would say that Ben was talking about at the beginning was basically building the portfolio. So, like, if you never worked with an agency before, if you have no images to show, you can't reach out and talk to them, right? So you got to build a portfolio. And like Ben was saying, if that portfolio doesn't match the style that they're looking for, then obviously you won't get that agency, right? You won't be able to work with that agency. So you have to first build a portfolio, do your research, like Ben said, figure out what the agencies are looking for, study their Instagram, study their websites, and start shooting in the style that they're looking for. Add that to your portfolio, have something to show when you reach out to them. And then the other thing that you talked about was the mood boards, right, Ben? So
right.
basically, get your mood boards together when you're reaching out to them. I think they also call them call sheets. I think is that the right call sheet terms, right term for that? But
So yeah, that was after they get back to you and you have a model lined up. I do a mood board where it shows the looks and the style. Call sheet would have, the time and like more
okay,
information.
okay, so that's after. So
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, those are the things that you could do. It's GMB. So those are the things that we talked about so far,
Hmm.
and now we're
And
talking about blurring the skin.
but like for what Ernesto was talking about, the Instagram is good, but I would look at their webpage more because these would be the images that they really love. These are the ones that they're featuring for each model. And Instagram, they're going to keep wanting to put images up. They just like everyone else, they're trying to get the social following numbers up and keep content streaming there. But their website will be a little more curated of
The best of the best.
the best of the best. So don't forget to look at the websites.
So hopefully that helped you. It's GMB. All right, so we could continue.
All right.
I do, by the way, I do see all the other questions. I will get to them. So just
Okay.
continue to drop. No, I'm just letting the viewers know that
Yeah.
I'll come back to your questions. Don't worry.
Okay. So, like the first part of my plan was working with agency models, really building my book. And so now from there, I've started taking on more experimental and personal projects to kind of show my vision. Because when you're putting your book together to meet with, an agency to get work that I'm not talking about a modeling agency now, where you're trying to, get actual commercial clients, they want to see your vision. So I've been during shoots always testing new things and trying things out. It may never see the light of day, but to keep improving, to keep pushing myself forward, I'm always experimenting while shooting. So, I might take the shots that they need and then take some that I need too, so that I can get a little extra test out of it. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So, and it's okay to fail. I've been experimenting a lot with out of focus images, taking pictures with long exposures, with a mix of, strobe and ambient light. And, here's another example of that. These were both these images were pretty much, this is how it was caught in camera. So just different light painting experiments. When I say don't worry about keyboard warriors, when you post these things, if some of these images, I'll post them in like a big Facebook group, and someone's going to be like, "Oh, this is stupid. It's out of focus," or something. They'll have a comment, and I'm just trying to capture a mood. I don't care about the image being technically perfect. That's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to push myself and see if I can get something out, a technique that may work in the future for some editorial work. So I'm not really worried about that, but at the same time, if you do post it, just respond with thank you for taking the time to comment. Don't get in an argument with them. Just don't even worry about it. Just say thank you. It's that simple. Just move on. Because I know, sometimes people will get upset and you'll start doubting yourself. Just don't worry about it. Trust people that are your mentors. So I have this picture here of Felix Coons, who I got to assist on a couple shoots and brought him into my studio and shot a portrait of him, and he kind of instilled that in me of don't worry about getting CC from people. Just if people like it, they like it, and it works. If they don't, it didn't. But have a core group of people that you trust, that you can reach out to and say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And they'll be brutally honest with you. They're not going to try and just say, "Oh, it's great," or they're not going to say, "It sucks every time," to try and prove they know something more than you. They're going to just give you honest feedback that you can trust. So I have a close group of photographers that are all over that I can bounce things off of, and those are the people that you should really keep those people around. And also there's people that offer mentoring to kind of help coach you too if you're just starting out. Like a friend of mine, Josh Eskrich, he does a mentoring program, and he'll travel to you and walk you through the steps, and he's just a great resource as well. So you can look out for those if you don't really have anyone wherever you live. So but always be testing and trying things out, pushing yourself and trying to have that vision, because the vision is what people are going to hire you for. Being technically perfect is great, but how many people are technically perfect? People are going to hire you for the ideas that you have. Those are the most important. So
yeah, I agree with the experimentation. This year I'm going to try to do some of that, a little bit more experimenting and just trying to push the boundaries a little bit. And I guess the point with the keyboard warriors thing, I think I think would be if you accomplish the goal that you set out to accomplish, and you got what you wanted. Maybe maybe it wasn't technically correct or anything like that, but you know what your vision was. You got your vision exactly the way you wanted it. Then, if that's the case, you know you accomplished your goal. So, any keyboard warriors out there that's making comments on something that may not be technically right or composed right or whatever the situation may
Right.
be, as long as you know you accomplish your goal, I think
And
that'll be
you're right.
a good thing. And then your mentor's comment about having mentors or a circle of people that you can reach out to say, look, this is what I was trying to go for. Do you think I nailed it? No, yes, and get that
Exactly.
direct feedback. So I think that's good advice.
Exactly. So it's not like your mom or your girlfriend or someone who's always going to say, "Oh, this is great," or someone who's always, have people in the industry that you trust that can give you honest feedback. And not to say, and about the other thing about keyboard warriors is just don't let it get to you. Don't get into arguments that don't mean anything. That's more my point about that too. Is just there's always going to be someone who's newer or someone who's set in their ways who is just going to say, this is garbage because of this, and you just say, thank you, I'll take that in consideration or whatever, and just move on. You can listen to them, but don't let it get to you. Just be nice and move on. Like, that's all you can do. And they're always going to be there.
Agreed.
Like that's what Twitter's for, right? Like, just
yeah, they can't help themselves, so they'll always be there.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
All right. So, like I was saying, you experiment, you try different things, and then once you get something, it can turn into something that you like. And then what I try and do is then take that idea and turn it into an editorial, if I can, to try and expand my book and get some things published. So I'm gonna have a couple examples here of that. So, experimenting with just different angles, some dappled light. I've been doing a lot with these backgrounds on location. So, again, here, this was, started shooting a lot of Polaroid and just kind of experimenting there as well. It's more about the mood than having a tack sharp image. And here's an image that one in the bottom left that was in Marie Claire, Hungary, for this designer here, Tala. So that was kind of based off of other images that I've had done. She'd seen those and then liked the look, so wanted to do something for her that was a little bit different than what she had been doing for promoting herself. And we did this slide already, didn't we?
Yeah, probably in there twice.
All right. All right. Any questions that?
I don't see any question that pertains to this particular section. I think they probably have to catch up a little bit. But the question that I would have here is turning those experiments into editorial. Like, how do you get to do an editorial? Like, what is the process? And then how many images do you need to have a quote unquote editorial?
You have to have a certain number of, for a fashion editorial, you need to have a certain number of looks, usually between like 5 to 7 different looks.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, basically from my shoots with working through the modeling agencies, I make contacts with stylists and with makeup artists, and there's different people you come in contact with throughout the whole process. And then I would have a team there and say, hey, we'd start the who wants to shoot an editorial here's the idea, like the look. I share some of my tests. This is kind of what I was doing. We put something together that kind of is cohesive style wise? And then once we get the garments, then we kind of get the makeup to match, to make sense too. And everyone gets to bring, their element, bring their vision too. So it's a team. It's definitely, that's a team effort there. So,
but do you reach out to a magazine before you put this together, or you reached out to them after you put it all together? You take the images and you say, could you make this an editorial?
It's been both for me. There's a friend in my hometown where I grew up. She has a magazine, QC Editorial, which is really, the images in it are great. And sometimes she'll send me, she posts the mood boards and I'll look at them, so I'll know kind of the overall theme, and then I'll shoot for that, thinking that, I have as long as I don't screw up, I have a decent shot of being in there. And other times the theme, I won't worry about a theme. I'll worry more about the idea that I already have, and try and find something that fits that. But I'll still know ahead of time. And then there's other times where you can find one, and because you can get a pull letter from the magazine, and if you can get a pull letter, it's easier for the stylist to show this to different designers and pull the garments for you. And if you have that, that's really the best way to do it, is to reach out to the magazine, get a pull letter for the stylist, and then they'll be able to get the garments for you. That's the ideal situation, but sometimes to get those, you have to shoot for some of these other ones to show that you can produce. So it's constantly trying to prove that you're at the next level, one step before you're there. So
wow,
that's the game, right?
That's an interesting term I never heard before, which is that pull letter. So that's a cool tip.
Yeah, what that basically says is you're going to be published if you shoot. We approve the idea behind the concept behind this editorial to be published in our magazine. They'll send a letter. The magazine will send a letter, and the stylist can use it to get garments from different places. So it kind of is like a letter showing that where it's going to be used.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Online presence.
All right. So again, social media is important. It's just how you're going to get a lot of business is being visible on social media. It's just like models have to have, like we said, 10,000 followers. The more you can get, the better. Like I say, I don't really worry about the numbers as much as like true, actual people who are engaging. Like your engagement's important. So you have to constantly be engaged with other people, communicating, but you just have to be visible. So you have to submit your work in different places. So get your work, get your name out there. Submit where you can. Make sure you're following trends. Like you don't want to be posting. Sometimes sites die out, and don't put all your eggs in one basket. Where would we be if all of a sudden Instagram just like dried up? Like what is your game plan after that? So even though I'm going to plug my my Instagram, so everyone out there can see it and follow me if you want. It's Ben William Scott on Instagram, but also I'm spending more time. Redid my website. I'm blogging some tips on how I shoot, other things for for models too, like that are starting out, and just kind of how a lot of technical, more behind the scenes type articles too. So my website's benwilliamscott.com if anyone's looking to read some of those blog posts too. They're out there.
And by the way, the links to that is in the description below as well. His IG and his website is in the description below. Mm-hmm. So you could click on it and go straight there and hit that follow button.
Perfect. So web magazines, I think, are good too. I know some people would say have different arguments about it's just online or what. To me, it's getting your work out there. It's pushing you forward. You're always improving, so keep pushing yourself. So it doesn't have to be in print. Just in print magazine doesn't necessarily mean it's better than an online magazine. It's all about promoting yourself, getting yourself out there. How many people, look at newspapers. Newspapers used to be a thing everyone had, and they're kind of disappearing. Like online, it exists. It has just as much weight to me as a printed piece. So, all right. Do we want to are there any questions up to this point?
So there's some other questions in here. Okay. So let me see. I'll scroll up to the top here. Let me scroll up because I didn't skip over some of those questions. So now I'm going to go back here. So I think I answered that question from DMAC already. So Corey wanted to know, how do you go about finding a studio space to work in when you're when you're first starting to work with a let me rephrase that. How do you go about finding a studio space to work in when you're first starting to work in fashion and or beauty photography?
So when I first started, I was moving my kitchen table out of the way and setting up there. Like, I work in some pretty small spaces at times, and I can make just about any space work. I do a lot of shooting out of my house. Shooting in the studio is amazing, but controlling my budget is even more important. So, at my last house, I actually had a space in my house that was pretty big and dedicated, and now I don't have that, and I miss it. But I have a room that I shoot in, and I'm looking forward to it forcing me outside to do different things that I've been kind of in my comfort zone too long of shooting in the studio. So I'm looking to branch out there, just like I was saying earlier, that I'm doing a lot more retouching for other people too. Like, I'm just okay with changing up my business based off of my surroundings. So
adapt, or what's the phrase? Adapt or die?
Yep, exactly.
So that's a good one. So question here from DMAC. Does Ben have understudies that he works with? How does a newbie become an understudy?
I have had one summer I had an intern that worked for me. Right now, since I've just moved recently, I haven't been taking on anyone, just because it's been a little bit more sporadic, where I'm focusing more on like my website and retouching, and in the process of starting up a podcast with another photographer that should be rolling out by the end of the month. But I didn't really work under anyone. But but don't be afraid to ask people questions. But um, I'm sure that as long as you don't ask too many questions, most people will be pretty nice and respond. Like I said before, too, there are people who offer like mentoring packages where you can actually, they'll customize and teach you. It's kind of like a one-on-one workshop. So that's also an option out there. Or just if there's someone you want to be an understudy for, reach out and see if they have anyone. Like I was saying earlier, when I met with Gordon Monroe, who used to be Irving Penn's assistant, he moved from England to New York and just was moved to be someone's assistant. And when he got to New York, he had a friend who was a photographer who told him, here's 10 names of photographers that possibly could need an assistant. He had those names, and when he was looking up their addresses in the phone book, he's like, screw it, I'm gonna look up Avedon and Irving Penn's address too. So he had those down, and when he was out walking around to meet with these other photographers to see if they needed an assistant, he just stumbled. He looked up at the address, and he's like, that's Irving Penn's studio. So he went in and asked if they needed an assistant, and they said come back at 5. He came back at 5, and he was talking to this guy for like an hour and a half, and he's like, I want you to be the assistant. He didn't even know. He was talking to Irving Penn the whole time. He didn't even know what he looked like. And he offered him his lead assistant position, and he stayed with him for 3.5 years and then ended up assisting like all the greats at that time. So don't be afraid just to ask people if they need one. So
there you go.
But you got to live where they need, where they are. So
yeah. Can't do it virtually.
Exactly.
So it's GMB is asking here. So dealing with agencies, do they own the images you take if they paid for it?
No, you always own the images. You're the photographer. Never give away. Well, never for free.
Actually, do you get that? Does the agency sign the contract, or does the model sign the contract?
See, that's where it gets tricky. The agency has to approve a contract, so the models won't sign anything that the agency hasn't already read and approved.
Okay. So, but the model ultimately signs it once the agency reviews it.
Yeah, but you have to everything goes through the agency. So.
Okay, so there you go. It's GMB.
Because they're going to make sure if you're not selling these images.
Oh, okay.
Because you're not going to be able to profit off of their models because they profit off of the images. So,
okay.
If you start selling the images, then you're going to have to pay the agency. So
you can't put those images in like a book or something?
you would probably have to, yeah, it would be difficult. I mean, I guess if you became a big enough name that you could probably figure something out. But I'm not there yet in my career. But yeah, if you're getting paid to shoot for their portfolio, you can't sell them.
There you go. So my man Flint is saying, so you guys are saying a work and experience model with multiple poses, closes, shouldn't get paid versus a self-proclaimed professional photographer getting paid. So I'll answer this question first, and then you could give you a take. So what I'm saying, my man Flint, is that I don't knock the models that they basically, what they call quote unquote traveling models that travel around the state and, not the state, but the US and potentially abroad as well to get paid for, their services. But I personally, at my stage of my career, probably would not pay a traveling model to show up for a photo shoot. If I was doing a paid gig for something like a magazine or something that I was getting a significant contract for, then yes, I would definitely hire a professional model, so that I don't have to, pose them and do all that other stuff that I need to do, that I would normally do. So I would hire a professional model, pay them for their services. In that particular case, everybody gets paid, right? But that's what I would do. But at this point in my career, I don't need to hire a traveling model to show up to do a photo shoot for what I need. So that's my take.
Exactly. And there's what we're talking about is models for modeling agencies when they're starting out. They need to have a certain number of images and looks in order to book jobs. So this is kind of like their, a fee they have to pay, like an almost like a advertising fee or a fee just to get the right number of images so they can start booking jobs to make money. So it's part of their process too, so that they're professional models that are going to be making money and they need images to get started. So it's just part of the industry. It's a
Yeah.
niche that's needed for them to make it.
DMAC is not a question, but DMAC is saying several people have not even responded to my questions. I think he was talking about a topic that we were referring to, not necessarily a question in the live
Oh,
chat.
okay.
I think this was I forget the topic that we were talking about. I think that's what he's referring to there. So T Matt Visions with a Z. How do you charge a small and upcoming fashion line that you've been shooting for free a whole year?
Ooh,
That's a tough one.
that's that's a tough one. Once you set a price so that's low, it's hard to ever get more. So never never set your price so low with promise of getting paid later because it's never going to happen. Like you're never going to make that jump. A client that's not going to pay, that isn't paying anything at first, isn't going to all of a sudden start paying an actual quality rate. Um, you could say, hey, this is what it should be. And, this is what I would charge anybody else and see what they say. But,
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, I if it was me, and I was shooting somebody for an entire, well, not somebody. He's saying a fashion line he was shooting here, so
mhm,
I guess a designer. If I was shooting them for an entire year at no cost, obviously they keep coming back. So it's either one or two things. Either your work is good enough for what she needs, and she's basically
mhm.
be able to put that up on her blog or her Instagram or wherever she's putting it, and she's able to share that and be happy with it, right? So, and plus you are able to build up a relationship with her, right, or whoever the person is, right? So those two things, they either love your work, you have a great relationship, or hopefully have a great relationship with them, and hopefully they're making some money off of their fashion line, right? Obviously selling it or whatever they're doing with it, right? Because they keep coming back with new lines. I think that every what is it, every year people come out with new lines, I think.
Mhm.
So they keep coming back, right? So if they keep coming back, me personally, I would just say to them, look, it's 2018, and look, this is what I typically charge, and I'm gonna have to start charging you going forward for
Mhm.
2018. We had a excellent run. We had a great relationship in 2017, but it's time now for me to start paying the bills. I think we have a great relationship, and I think we could continue. And I would just approach it in that fashion, just pull the band-aid off and just tell them straight up, time to start paying up. And if they don't pay up, they never really value your relationship to begin with. So I would just do it in that fashion. Just pull the
Yep.
band-aid off, you know.
So, yeah. So my rule is to never shoot any. If anyone's making money off of it, I'm not shooting it for free. So if it's a business, don't shoot it for free. But also, I can relate to, like I was saying before, there's agencies that will try and take advantage of you by having you shoot for free. There was an agency in DC that had me do 2 free tests, and then they got me, they had my rates, and then they reached out to me. They didn't send me any work. A couple months later, reached out to me, what are your rates again? Send them the rates. They're like, would you be open to doing some free shoots? I'm like, you haven't sent me any paid work yet. Like, no, I'm not interested in doing any free shoots. And then a couple months later, models start reaching out to me, and they're telling me that the agency told them that for them to reach out to me, that I would do it for free. So I wasn't going to let them take advantage of me like that. So I sent them another message. I told them, something, you guys somehow got me in the free pile or whatever, but I'm not gonna, shoot for your business for free. And I increased my rates then when I sent them that. I doubled my rates with that email and said, here's my new rates. I wasn't expecting to work with them again anyway. So, and that was it. I'm like, we're done. But, and then I, don't let people take advantage of you. Because they will.
Absolutely. I think, try to pull the Band-Aid approach. If that works,
Exactly.
great. At least you'll learn your lesson, and then your next potential designer that you might be working with, now you know how to approach the situation.
And one thing I would say is I would, if you enjoy working with this designer, you can say, hey, this is what I would charge anybody else. And then if they say, oh, I can't pay that, ask them what their budget is. And if it is something that you think could get you a little extra work, it's up to you if you want to take it or not. But it could, it's more than you were making with them before. So
that would work too. I mean,
but keep it professional. Stand your ground. Don't get too mad. Even though I just told you about how I got pissed off. But I did it in a very professional way. I did not say anything bad or I'm just like, there's been some mistake here, and we need to clarify this.
So Marco Castro, he doesn't have a question, but he has a statement. He says, I really like how you bring that studio seamless backdrop look outside. This is a great option for many people starting out who do not have funds or access to a studio.
And those were all natural light too. So it's a great way to make a studio type look, but just going outside.
So DMAC followed up here to clarify his no one is answering his questions.
Okay.
Basically, he was talking about when we were talking about mentors, reaching out and finding mentors.
No
one is coming back to him and answering his call for a mentor, locally, that is.
Right.
So, that's a tough one. I mean, I try to respond to everyone, try to provide, guidance where I can. For other photographers that don't want to reach out, I don't know if they're busy. I can't speculate. I don't know.
Right. For me, and the group of photographers that we chat quite a bit, if someone's professional and respectful, as they're reaching out will write back. If someone's just like, someone writes hello or hey, or and that's it, just like ignore, like I don't have, like, you're wasting my time with just a hey, like, but if you're really professional and have a ask a question, we'll we'll respond if we have the time, when we have the time. So
And another thing I hear people say, and the way I try to approach it as well, not that it's been vastly successful for me, but reaching out to people by providing some type of offering, or if you see that they're struggling with something, like, okay, perfect example, like the videos that I put out here on this YouTube channel. When I started out with horrible audio. Like, I didn't know how to work the audio really good. My production value wasn't that great, like the sequence and how things were operating on, as far as how we presented the videos, wasn't, it wasn't like 100% great. But a lot of people saw my struggle, and they weren't, giving mean comments or anything like that. In fact, on this channel, there's really hardly any mean comments, which is great. Knock on wood, to keep it that way. But people reach out to me privately, sending me messages saying, "Hey, Ernesto, I see that you were having this issue with audio, or I see that you're having this issue with production," and they give me like lengthy advice on how to fix the problem, and giving me advice on how I could change up my production value to help bring in more viewers and stuff like that. And to me, I don't know these folks per se, but I open up those messages like right away, and I was just reading it and responding, because they offer me value, and that was very, very, very good for me. So I guess what I'm saying here is, if you're trying to reach out to a potential mentor, and you could find something that they're struggling with, or they might need, or something like that, reach out to them, give them a solution to get yourself on their radar. Not necessarily asking them for anything per se, but get yourself on their radar, so the next time you reach out to them, they will know who you are. Like, for example, DMAC. If you reach out to me, I know exactly who you are, because you're always on these chats, you're always commenting on these videos. You're very active. Like, I know who you are. So if you reach out to me, I, immediately say, yeah, sure, whatever. But that's what I would suggest, DMAC. I don't know if it would work for, your situation, but I think it would definitely help to get yourself on their radar. That's one way to do it.
that's very true. Like, I've had a couple of people reach out to me since I've moved here, and you know, one, she's a photographer, but she's also a makeup artist, and so that was just a great connection. She's super sweet and always really positive too, but her added value of being able to help me not only on a photo shoot but also with makeup.
Mm-hmm.
I would, I'm like, sure, come to a shoot and help. If you're gonna provide makeup, that's amazing. But if it's just someone asking just a general question, that's fine. I can answer it. But I'm working out a very tight space. I can't just have a bunch of people around. I just don't have the space, and I'm not shooting as much as I was because I'm reestablishing myself again. So it's like, I just moved and now it's winter, so I'm like in the slow time up here. So I'm rebranding myself again, like doing all the things that I've been putting off and catching up, and don't really have time. Like, an assistant right now they wouldn't have much to do.
So, but if they get yourself on your radar when you do have
Exactly.
that need, you definitely reach out and call them.
Exactly. And like you said, people who are active, people that are always like, hey, they've been constantly following me on social media and, saying positive things when they shoot me messages and ask me stuff. I'm like, sure. And sometimes if I get enough, if people asking the same question, then I do a blog post about it. Because I'm like, oh, this is something that people obviously don't know and they can't find anything on. So then I do a post about it. Like I did one about how I, used cookies to create shadows for some of my images, and I showed some behind the scenes pictures there. And it was all based off of people asking me questions. So I don't think people are against questions. So keep trying. Just maybe try and find some way to add value to them, like Ernesto was saying. Keep comment a bunch on their on their Instagram posts, but don't do it all at once. I would do it over a period of time, so they see you, but they don't think like, oh, this guy's spamming me.
Don't be a stalker.
Slowly
Mark
stalk.
slowly stalk. So Marco is asking here. Marco Castro is asking. I live in Miami, and here we have lots of agencies. Look, I'm booking many models who are starting out and need images. That said, I feel like I am way underpriced. What? Whoa! Oh, it continues. Hang on. What would you say? Hang on. Let's just scroll out of my way. Hang on. What would you say is a reasonable rate for model packages and test? Most models have zero money, so pricing this right is key.
That's kind of what I was getting at the beginning is doing these tests isn't a great way to make a lot of money. I would say, like I said, wedding photography or something else is going to get you a lot more income. It's more or less a way for me to build my portfolio and get some work during the week to keep shooting. Rate wise, it depends. I'm not sure about what the rates are in Miami, but from people I've talked with and even in like LA or whatever, people aren't making a whole lot of money. Like maybe you can do a test for maybe like $300 for 5 looks or so. So 5 images, not different outfit changes, but 5 total images, not 5 like different changes of looks. But
So one look, five images.
or you could do a couple. Like I do everything based off of images because for me, like the editing time and is where it's going to take me time. Like I do my package based off of number of images and extra. Then I have a set rate for extra images, hoping they'll buy more. That's why I'm always, I lower my number of images and then have add-on images, so then I can kind of hope that they'll like more than what they originally agreed upon, and then upsell them.
So it's kind of like wedding photographers out there that price their packages. Like for example, like if someone reaches out and say, "Hey, I'm having this wedding on X date. How much do you charge?" The typical response is, "Oh, I'm starting out at the starting rate is $1,200. Let's just say, right?" And they'll be like, "Oh, okay. Either that's great or it's not." And if it's great, okay,
Exactly.
then they will go with the lower end, package that they want to go with, 1,200. But then once they get into your, space, it's your job then to try to get them to upsell to, the next package. So I guess
and when I'm talking $300 with hair and makeup is extra, like $300 that I'm getting for the shoot.
So you have an a la carte pricing basically. So you have a base price and then you have an a la carte pricing that you add on to it.
Yep, base price that's with this many images, and then it's additional images based off of it's basically my retouching rate plus a little extra for the images, so that since I'm doing a lot of retouching, I know what I'm charging for retouching, and I obviously I'm going to pay myself for the images too, so my retouching rate plus a little extra bit.
So there you go. I hope that helps you, Marco.
But it's no way to make like a lot of money. I feel like it's a it's a way to get some income while trying to get bigger commercial clients is kind of
Because that's your ultimate goal.
exactly, that's where the money is. Until everyone starts giving them all away on what is it, Upsplash or Unsplash or whatever it's called.
Never heard of that one.
You haven't heard about that one?
What is
I'll
that?
have to share. It's some website now that some designers made where people can post their images and they basically sign away their copyright or their right to it. So people can use the images. They don't have to credit the photographer.
Really?
Yeah. And they're getting like millions of photos uploaded. I don't understand it. Like you're giving away your images.
Well, that's kind of like Facebook, isn't it?
No, but can be used for commercial.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Huh.
So still trying to wrap my head around why you would do that.
Yeah, well, I gotta look that up. Never heard
Send
that
you,
one
I'll
before.
send you some links after this.
Yeah, gotta look that up. That's interesting. So, but let's see here. Question: do you think? So Corey is asking, do you think what it would be? Do you think it would be smart to invest in a camera, good portrait lens, flashes, and modifiers right away to start your career if you have money in your savings from a part-time job?
Um, I would start with a camera and a lens, probably either a 50 or 85 millimeter lens, and just shoot outside until I got enough that I made enough money to and understand light more before I moved into any other equipment. I don't buy a lot of equipment. I run pretty thin there with gear. If I do need something, you can always rent it. But I have two strobes. My modifiers are 5 foot octabox, medium soft lighter, and I have one reflector that I use sometimes for if I want a hard light, and then I have a 6x6 scrim so I can get real large soft light. But that's all the modifiers that I have, and then I use I bounce light all over the place. Use a lot of V flats, and so don't get sucked into just having to buy a bunch of gear. Start. I would probably say start with a 50 millimeter lens if I was telling anyone to start with, and a pretty basic DSLR. And why I say 50 is that'll give you the closest to what you see. So and then just use your feet, move around, and go from there. And then acquire gear that you need as your business is improving.
Yeah, totally agree. Gear don't make the photographer. Photographer makes the gear. So, when I first started out, I basically had obviously one body and one lens, and that was the 70 to 200 lens. And I shot with that body and lens combination for an entire year. I had nothing else. So, obviously, looking back on that is basically probably was the best move that I ever made. Not even thinking about it at the time. I was just like, because that's all, I wouldn't say all that I could afford. It's just that I just didn't know what else to get. But it forced me to basically think in those confines like of what I had. And it forced me to, just work with the talent as opposed to letting the gear work me. I just work with the talent. So
Yep.
yeah, so I wouldn't, even if you have the funds, you have unlimited funds, you don't have to go and buy all this different gear. Limit yourself, restrict yourself a little bit, and let your talent expand.
Exactly. And you can rent gear too. That's one thing. If you think you're going to buy something, or you think you might need something, rent it and see what if you really do need it. Because sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's such a specialty lens or such a specialty thing that you won't use all the time. Like it's wiser just to rent it when you need it.
Yeah. So DMAC here has a comment. Oh, Marco is saying no. Oh, he was agreeing with us, I think. Marco is saying to Corey, no, about buying stuff. You can make great images with crop sensors, lower end cameras, and a kit lens. My advice is to learn lighting. Oh, he basically just said the same thing that you just did. Your understanding of lighting will create your images, not the camera. Perfect. Great
Yeah,
advice, Marco. Very,
exactly.
very succinct. Very good. Like that. So hang on. So D Mac is basically saying, I was told by a few photographers that Houston is different with regards to mentoring. What the hell is going on there in Houston? Why they not why they not click it
Where was that?
in Houston?
In Houston? What were they saying? Sorry.
He's saying that I was told by a few photographers that Houston is different with regards to mentoring. So I guess they don't like to mentor in Houston. Really? Come on, Houston.
Trying to think.
It's messed up.
Isn't Pratik in Houston? I'll have to ask Pratik, like, what's up with Houston?
Yeah, what's going on with Houston? That's bad. Well, DMAC, I would definitely we could definitely talk all day when I'm in WPPI. So
Yeah. I worked in Houston for 6 months, but
I never been there, so I don't know what's going on out there. So
don't look for trees or grass. It's all concrete.
actually learn. Okay, so so I'm just scrolling through here to see if there's any other questions. There's a lot of comments. Models are gear. Just curious if I'm. Oh, so Marco is following up here saying I shoot weddings. So he was the one I was asking about the packaging pricing for models. He's saying I shoot weddings. Models are a gear cash. Oh, so basically that's his gear reserve. Just curious if I am underpriced. I would say I approach pricing just like any other thing, just like with weddings, like figure out how much your time is worth or what your expenses are, and then from there make sure that one, you're not working, if you do a photo shoot, let's say for an hour, and then you have to do a post-production, let's say for 3 hours, so that's a total of like 4 hours that you have to work on a particular photo shoot. And if let's say you price this thing at $200, then obviously, and if you're working for $200, I don't know what that math is on there for 4 hours, but whatever that math is, what is it, $25 an hour? Is that 25? I might be wrong on the math there, but
Is that 50?
is it 50?
For
4 hours?
what you just said.
For 4 hours? Okay, so 50. So there you go. I was off by $25.
Was it? I don't know. Sorry. I was trying to follow.
So 50. So 50. No, actually you're right. It's 50. It's $50.
All right.
So if you work at $50 per hour, so in your mind you have to say, okay, is $50 good enough? For what I'm, is that covering the bills for that particular session? Like if you didn't get up that day, right, and you didn't do that photo shoot, obviously it didn't cost you anything. You're probably lying in your bed. It didn't cost you anything. But if you have to get up out of your bed and you have to go and do this photo shoot, you have to say to yourself, is it worth your time to get up out of your bed to go and do this photo shoot? Like, are you losing money by actually doing this thing? So I think you just have to make sure, just put yourself in that bucket, and come up with your price. I think, unless you disagree, Ben, but I think most photographers, you would find all their pricing is always completely different. And you don't want to price yourself out of the market, but your pricing always would be like different from one photographer over to the next, because it all varies on experience, all varies on, you know, access, all varies on your network, all varies on, you know, a whole bunch of variables, expenses, all that good stuff. But so I say, look at your situation personally and come up with a price that works for you. But I would suggest, like how Ben has his stuff set up, come up with a base pricing and something that you could say, okay, this is the amount of money that I'm going to get out of my bed for, you know, to do this session. Even if they don't add on to the rest of it, like how Ben has his pricing set up, if they don't add on to it, at least you know you got up out of your bed and at least you got paid, and whatever you got paid covered all of what you need to get covered. So I would say structure it in that fashion as opposed to
Right. Because really, the agencies, like if they get a couple images out of a shoot, they're going to be happy because they don't want all their images to look the same in their for the models' portfolios online or wherever they are. So if there's if there's a couple images that look the same, they're probably only going to use one. So maybe it's don't offer as many images because that's your time editing, but like I do have a la carte extra, you can buy this many images so that way, if they need them or they like the images, they can buy more and then you're getting that money there so you're not wasting your time.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't ever read his follow-up comment. He said here, actually what I charge, that's actually what I charge. So I think he's saying, so 3 looks, 6 images, $300, and add-ons are $30 each. So that's basically what he charged.
And it's kind of pretty standard because that's what I hear from people in LA. That's what I hear from people, in different parts of the country. Some friends in Canada, that's about what they charge too. So you have flexibility in the number of images, which is your time. Maybe 6 is too many, you lower it and then see if you can sell them on getting some more, buying some more images.
Yeah, I think 6 is too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you probably need to lower that. And also, I will ask you, how long does it take you to do 3 looks? 3 looks, $300. Potentially, they could do add-ons. I don't know if they would or wouldn't, but 3 looks, I would think that would take how long would that take?
To me, the looks, that's not where the time is. To me, the time is
the post-production.
Yeah. So, like, I try and be flexible on that so that I stand out so I can be competitive. Is like, if you want to change your outfit, like how long, it's not really going to take that long. If it's a complete, you also have to remember that like with modeling agencies, the makeup has to look fairly natural because they're really selling
the person's
face. More of a you're selling the person's face, what they look like, their personality. So that's why I also think of myself as a portrait photographer. Is you're trying to get their personality to come through, so that the look changes aren't really that big a deal. So to me, I'm fine with if you want to put on something else and we can change the color of the paper, or go out, have one inside and one outside. It doesn't really take that much time. It's the post time for me. But
well, there you go. But lower your amount of images you give away.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
How much you give in your base? Is it how many images you provide to them in your base?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I'm always changing it. I always like to do an odd number for some reason, because I feel like that way I can sell more. So like 5 right now.
Oh, that's an interesting philosophy.
Because they do, 3 looks and they want 2 images for each look. Right?
Very smart.
So then you got an odd number. You you might sell one more, but.
So DMAC is asking here, do you have a cease and desist document that you would send out to someone using your images?
I don't have one, but I would get one. I think you can find those on a photo editor. A photoeditor.com is a great resource for any kind of document that you're trying to find. What about you, Ernesto? Do you know?
All I do is basically have the model sign a model release. But really and truly, if someone is using my images, yeah, if anyone is using my images for commercial purposes, like if it's like, like a Coca-Cola or,
Hmm.
somebody like that, which, they probably wouldn't, but let's just say they were doing something like that. That would be something that I would actually hire a lawyer for and try to
Exactly.
do something about. But if it's a mom and pop shop or another photographer or a model that's not selling your images but using it in a way that you didn't talk to them about using, obviously I will reach out to them and say, hey, FYI, you can't be doing that. Oh, perfect example. This magazine published my images, well, one of my images of a model that I shot a few years ago. And the only way I found out about it was the model posted it on his Instagram. And I'm like, oh, cool. My image is posted in a magazine. Great, awesome. So I went to go check out the magazine, and I'm looking in the byline for credits, and I'm not seeing my name. And I'm like, where is my name? They said the source of the image came from some other magazine. And I'm like, wait a minute here. This doesn't make any sense. I didn't give any magazine authorization to use this image. So I sent them an email. I say, hey, FYI, I don't mind you guys using an image, but could you at least put my name as a credit for the image? And they're like, "Oh, my bad. I didn't know. I didn't know. We got permission from you, from the model to post the images." I'm like, "Wait a minute here. You're a magazine. You should know that you need to come to the photographer and ask them for permission, not the model." But they were cool about it. They're like, you know what? We'll fix it. We'll update it and revise it so that your name is there. So I would say, if you see people doing stuff like that, just reach out.
Right.
Maybe they may not know, um, and see if they would have fixed it. But for small stuff like that, you know, yeah, getting a
Yeah.
cease and desist order and stuff like that. I don't know if it's worth it. I will go after big fish. For the most part, I would probably just try to shame them on Facebook or Instagram. You know.
So, yeah, I had an example like that where a company that was actually they'd asked me for images for commercial purposes, and we were negotiating, and I sent some basically screen prints for them to kind of review, and someone put them in a. This is the story I got. Someone put them in a folder and used the images without knowing that they weren't supposed to use the images yet because we were still in negotiations. So they rolled out a new product, and oh my, like three of my images are in this promo video. I was like, wait, you guys were talking to me, we were negotiating price, and now you're already using the images and we didn't even get there yet. And they're like, oh, they were they were good about it. They were very apologetic. They paid me some money and everything worked out, but I didn't have to shame them on uh, social media, and I did not have to get a lawyer involved. But I talked to him, and everything worked out. So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I think, and I wouldn't say most cases, but I think, there's some decent companies out there that would, do the right thing. They might be doing the wrong thing unintentionally, but you might reach out to them and, they might do the right thing. I have seen other cases where, other photographers would just steal, that hasn't happened to me. But I have seen other cases where photographers steal people's work and just blatantly put it up on their website and say, "Hey, I'm a wedding photographer. Come and hire me." And it's totally not their images and stuff like that. those types of people, there's really nothing. I mean, you could do something. You could hire a lawyer, but that would cost you a whole bunch of money. But just shame them on social media. You know, say, look at this dude or gal that's, you know, stealing all
Yeah,
my images.
there's some sites that are really good at like really shaming them too. I forgot what they're.
Yeah, I forgot the website. Yeah, there's a website
Yeah,
out there that
it's a
actually
website that
shames
will
them.
really like goes hard after them. So.
So I would say do that. Um, Marco is saying, no, DMAC is saying here, Ben, any plans to make it back down to Houston?
No. No, unfortunately, I don't have any plans at this time. It's probably been 7 years or so since I was down in Houston, but I used to go there quite a bit. But unfortunately,
So Marco is saying most time is spent in post. I think he was agreeing with you on that one.
exactly. So that's where you got to try and cut your post time down, and that's why I try and sell more images, like you're doing too. So
Yeah. Ben is saying Angry Ken. I don't know who Angry Ken is. Who's Angry Ken? Okay, so I'm going to switch back here to your desktop, and I think you wanted to chat about the other slide.
okay, one last slide here. I'm going to be speaking at the CTPPA in March on it's the weekend of March 23rd through the 25th. There's a couple of other of the speakers that will be there on the right. And basically, what I'm going to be doing, what I'm going to be talking about, is kind of again working with modeling agencies, but I'm going to have a makeup artist and a model kind of talk about the whole process, walk through the process of shooting. So I'm going to go from the makeup decisions, wardrobe decisions, to the actual how I shoot, and a little bit of post. Hopefully, if we can get this all done in my hour and a half that I have, but
Wow,
we'll see.
that's tight.
Well, the makeup's going to be done ahead of time.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to be talking about it. So, and the wardrobe will be done ahead of time. So it's not going to be like a complete role play, but everything will be there, and I'll be shooting and working with the model, and then answering questions and kind of walking through it. So if anyone's interested in attending that in Connecticut, there's a link down at the bottom to register if anyone's nearby and wants to go. And there's going to be some other really great speakers there that you can see. So
Is that on your website?
it's not on my website at the moment. It's on.
Where is it? I want to put it in the description. So
But I can give you the link.
let me see. bit.ly/etppa hyphen. Is that E or C?
It's Converge.
Oh,
Is the name of
Converge.
the. Yep.
All right, so let's see here. Let me see if I get it here. Oops. I'll bring it up here so I can put it in a chat for the folks that
Yeah.
out there.
So I don't know. They're still working on the schedule. I'm not sure which day I'm speaking yet, but I do know that's the topic I'm talking about.
Oh, I know this thing is very sensitive. Bit.ly is TTP. Hang on, guys. Let me just get this really quick here. HTTP :// bit.ly and /etppa / converge. Ah, bloody.
You get it?
No, I didn't. Hang
Let
on.
me see.
Yeah, this Bit.ly is very case sensitive, and
Let me see if I can just send it to you. If you can.
yeah, send it to me and I'll put it in the chat here. Let me bring it up.
Trying.
That's okay. So let me
We can add it later.
let me just no go ahead go look at it. Let me just plug something here really quick for the folks. Oops,
Okay.
that's the wrong thing I'm looking at. Hang on. I'm trying to find my slide. Not slide. Um, where is it? Ah, here it is. All right, guys. So I think this is my last plug of this event that we're having in Las Vegas, because I'm not doing another live until I think probably March. So guys, we are having a photo walk. If you're not aware, we're having a photo walk on February 27th in Las Vegas. So this photo walk is gonna cover posing, lighting. You going to WPPI, Ben?
No,
No,
I'm not.
no.
I'm
So
gonna be in Vegas like 2 weeks later. Like I'm just missing it.
So basically, we're going to be covering posing, lighting, composition. You know, my three favorite things. We're covering gear. We're going to be shooting with natural light and all that, artificial light, all that, good stuff. So, plus, we're going to be answering a lot of questions that you guys may have. And this pricing here that you see is early bird pricing. So take advantage of it now before it goes away. So if you haven't registered yet for this photo walk, which is going to be on February 27th, go ahead and register, because we're going to see you guys there and answer a whole bunch of questions. And Photo Me Ike is going to be there. He is, and myself and Photo Me Ike is basically having this event. So we already have a model already booked, and according to Ike, she's lit. So you got to come out and check it out. All right. So that is all I wanted to plug. And I think you just sent it to me. So let me just grab it here. And let me put it in the chat so that everyone can have it. So that is the link for the event for Ben, his speaking engagement. So if you guys are out in Connecticut, be sure to go to that event if you're out in Connecticut. And let me just put it also in the description, because I know people are going to come to this video after the fact. So I just want to make sure I get it in the description as well. So give me 1 second. Let me just duplicate this really quick and put this in the description. And yeah, hey, what up, Photo Me Ike? So Photo Me Ike is in the building. He's right. The price will go up at the door. So you guys make sure you register. Hang on here. Let me put the event link in the description. All right, so now the event link is in the description. If you refresh the video now, you should be able to see it as well. So let me see if I missed anything while I was doing my plug. So Ben is saying, I know Zamani feelings. He's super dope, Philly guy. I know I butchered that name. I don't know Zamani. I don't know who that is, but I'll look him up on his IG.
Yeah. Some of there's some really great speakers here too.
Oh, that's who he was looking at. Okay.
Brian Smith is amazing too on here. So.
Oh, okay. I missed all. I missed all of them. I was just looking at your image. Oh, Zamani. Okay, Zamani. Yep. I got it. Okay, cool. So there you go. You're in good company. So Zamani shoots everything: NFL, weddings, portraits. Okay. He's the black guy on Ben's flyer. Photo Me Ike's up, Mr. 4-pack. So that was Ben to Ike. Yeah, so that is it. So Ben, what else do you want to plug before we wrap up this live broadcast?
I mean, I think that's pretty much it. You can check out my website again, benwilliamscott.com. I have some blog posts there about just some lighting tips and a group photo tip that people have been liking about how to composite a group photo so that you can get everyone to look their best. So check that out, and that's all I have. All my plugs.
Okay, and don't forget to check out his IG. Hit him up on IG. So that is it, guys. If you enjoyed this live broadcast, well, actually, before I go, thank you, Ben, for being part
You're
of
welcome.
the live broadcast. Appreciate it. So if you guys enjoyed this live broadcast and the content that Ben shared, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and on this video, and make sure you put all your comments to this video in the comment section when it's no longer live, so at least we can have some algorithms hit there. Okay, so if you're new to the channel and you haven't and you got this far in this video and you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Well, thumbs up. Subscribe to the video. Go ahead and subscribe to the video. I'm all over the place tonight. Subscribe to the channel, okay? Subscribe to the channel if you got this far. And guys, I appreciate you for hanging out with us for I don't know, it's might have been an hour. No, 2 hours. 2 hours now. Whoa, 2 hours. 10 to 10. It didn't feel like 2 hours, but but thank you guys for hanging out with us. I appreciate it. So like I said, there's not going to be any other live broadcasts for the rest of the month unless I come on here just to do like a general Q&A or something. But I will see you guys. We will still be pushing out videos, but I'll see you guys on other videos that we're going to be pushing out. All right. So that's it. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ernesto.
Thank you.